Hi, and welcome to another practice session on a snowy day here in Colorado. So we're going to spend this week looking at the two unnamed postures. So those are the transitions between the two separates, and they don't get talked about very much. They're the unnamed postures. So I would like to start by just sort of getting us in the mood, and I've got a little plan for how we're going to do an opening form, and we'll go, and I'll remind you of this while we're doing it, but we're going to do a first third, starting at the beginning. When we get to single whip, we're going to fast forward to squatting down, and we'll do the whole kick section, and when we get to the next single whip, that will be our cue to finish the first third. So let's see how it goes. Begin. Now remember, from this single whip, we're going to go to squatting down and the kicks. And from this single whip, we're going to go to lifting hands and the end of the first third. So that's a neat thing about the way our form is put together, is that you've got these grass sparrow's tails and single whips that show up at various points along the way, and you can duck in and out through them. So that was kind of a fun little experiment to bring attention to that section of the form. So what I'm going to start with is unnamed posture number 1. That's the one that when we've done both golden pheasants, you go to this corner. This is what we're calling the unnamed posture. We were always held here and corrected here, but it never got named. And it's really just a transition on the way to separate right foot. But because we were always stopped there, held it, were corrected there and all that, it seems worth spending a little bit of time on the more complicated path between the second pheasant and the first separate. So let's do it together, and I'll keep facing the camera. Lee will face canonical direction, and I want you to take it from standing on your right leg. So your left knee is up, your left foot is hanging, your left hand is in the same plane as your knee, and your right hand is like the opening posture. And let's just go through it a time or two before I start taking it apart. And go. And we'll go to separate right foot. And let's do it again. Go. And once more. and rest your legs. So I want to give you a series of checkpoints, and then Lee will kind of turn it around with you and give you some more details about it. So from here, from the golden pheasant standing on the right leg, the first thing you do is turn slightly to the left. So you're kind of opening to the left, and as you do that, the first checkpoint is here. It's with the left foot stepping down, ball first, pointing to the corner so that you'll have an angled foot to stand on. Your hands have moved so that the right fingers are here by your left elbow and a little above it so that when you change, you don't run into yourself. So just this much, standing on the right leg, letting everything come down, hands moving toward one another, left foot steps, ball first, no weight. Then you shift. So shift and turn. At this point, you're facing the corner, the front right corner. Your weight is completely in your back leg, and your hands are kind of like lifting hands, where the left palm is relating to the right elbow. So shake out your legs. And this is two and a half things. One, the weight hasn't shifted yet. Two, the weight shifts and you turn. And three, you end up, 2.5, you end up in this other corner, all the weight in your back leg. So let's just look at those points, and then I'll talk about how we get to that final unnamed posture. So standing on your right leg, and begin. Checkpoint number 1. Hands are moving toward each other, left foot steps down, ball first, no weight, right fingers by left elbow. Shift and turn to the right corner. End up, all your weight is on your left leg. Your right foot hasn't really changed, and your left palm is relating to the right elbow. Your orientation is to the right corner. So rest your legs a moment. So this shift between this point and this point has some action with the arms, but it's not the arms that do the moving, it's the turning of the waist. So this is a place Baton used to call it reaching for the soup, because when you are here, think about having long butterfly sleeve, and as I turn to the right corner, my left hand comes and kind of pulls my sleeve back so I can reach for the soup without getting my sleeve in the soup. So that was the image Baton would always use. The main thing that's important here is that it's all driven by the waist. It's not the arms. So one of the advantages of checkpoints is you get everything set up so that you don't have to do so much to get from one place to the next. So this place here where you've just come down from the second golden pheasant and your right fingers are by your left elbow, then as you shift and turn, it's not the arms that do anything. The arms are just following the motion of the waist. So that's the key to getting there. It's not, look at the difference, me just putting my arms there. And it's not that my arms just go any old way. Oh, I'm here, and then I just put my arms there as I shift and turn. You want this turning of the waist to be the thing that drives the arms to that corner. At the same time, you're shifting all your weight to your left leg. So let's do it together. And go. Checkpoint number 1, do not shift the weight yet. You've opened slightly to the left, your body's facing the left corner, your non-TN is left of center. Your right fingers are already in place, this is square form, and your left foot has stepped, no weight. Now, shift, turn, and let the hands change so that you're now in the right corner and your left palm is relating to the right elbow. All the weight in the back leg. Let's do those checkpoints again. And number 1, letting it down, hands coming into position. Don't shift the weight. Shift, turn, final posture. You're now in the other corner, all the weight in your back leg. Rest your legs. So then how this transitions to the next named move, separate right foot. So again, I'm going to give you some checkpoints. So from here, all the weight in the back leg, you keep the weight in the back leg. And shift, let the right foot pivot on the heel and turn the waist. Turn till you're at the corner. Ideally, your feet end up parallel to one another. That's not critical and crucial, but if you've got your feet oriented with one another properly, that's likely to be what happens. If you step to a place that is comfortable and isn't some place that you're reaching for, chances are you'll end up in a position where when you come here, your feet will go parallel. The weight is still in the left leg. Don't let the parallel feet fool you into thinking the weight has shifted into the right foot. At the same time, again, all driven by the waist, the arms drop and follow the movement of the waist, and I'm going to stop you here. Left hand is on the outside of your left thigh, right hand is on the inside. The hands have a ball of air relationship to one another. They are just dropping, and everything comes together in the corner. Your feet, your hands, you're all parallel, 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 but all the weight is in your left leg. So that's the first checkpoint here. Then the next checkpoint I want to give you is that you turn, now your feet won't turn anymore, but your waist, your hips, you will turn slightly more to the left and come back to that same corner. As I did that, my right foot, because it's empty, came on the ball, a little bit of a pivot as I make that turn. So footwork is here, here, and just letting the right foot pivot as it follows the hips. So let's do that much together. Standing on the left, all the weight, and drop your hands, turn your waist, stop in the corner. Everything is lined up. Your hands are like a ball of air. You have not turned past the corner yet. Now, this is one of those curlicue places. You're going to go past the corner, not the foot, just the hips, and back to the corner. As you do that, your arms move into shape. We'll get to that in a second. Just take it from here again, from all the way down the left leg. Right foot is empty. You're in the unnamed posture number 1. Hands drop, waist turns, right foot pivots on heel. Checkpoint number 1, in the corner. Number 2, back to that same corner. All the weight is still in your left leg. You have not shifted it. So rest your legs a moment. I'm kind of resisting the square checkpoint that would take us to here, because what I find is that people really get twisted up and end up reaching with the arm, and I want to take that away. So I want you to have one checkpoint here at the corner, then you go past the corner and back to that corner as your second checkpoint, even as you go through a place where your left arm has extended fully out and your right arm is here in front of the center of your chest, so that it can come, the left hand can come over the right wrist and end up with the hands crossed. So checkpoint, checkpoint. So let's do that much from standing on the left leg in the unnamed posture. Drop your hands, turn your waist, stop at the first checkpoint. Feet are parallel, hands are parallel also. Stay in the left leg. Turn further to the left. Your right arm comes up your center line, your left arm swings out, and as you turn back to the corner, the left hand folds over and lands wrist to wrist on top of your right wrist. Hands are crossed. All the weight is still in your left leg. The right foot has just pivoted on the ball to follow the movement of the waist. So let's do all these checkpoints before we get into the final posture. So from standing on your right leg, golden pheasant, begin. Checkpoint number 1. Don't shift the weight yet. Open slightly to the left. Left foot goes down, right fingers just above left elbow. Shift all the weight into the left leg, turn to the right corner, unnamed posture number 1. Drop your hands, turn your waist, stop at the next checkpoint in the corner. Everything's pretty much parallel and lined up at the corner. Stay in the left leg. Turn further to the left, right hand comes up your center line, left arm swings out, and turn back to the corner. That brings your left hand over your right wrist. Still all the weight in your left leg, right foot has pivoted on the ball. So now we're ready for the final posture. Sink, hands open, palms out, fingertips up, and separate right foot. So the checkpoints for the final posture, rest your legs, is that all the weight's on one leg because the other one is up in the air, and you have a plane out here. The arm and leg are in the same plane, so I'm not, this is in one plane. This hand is slightly higher, the left hand, than the right, so that you have a little bit of balance, but I'm not lifting this hand up. It's just a natural effect of trying to keep your balance when you're standing on your left leg, is that the left hand will come up a little bit. And your orientation is also to that corner. I don't want to do it like this. Let it all come into position. So let's do all those pieces. Take it from standing on your right leg. Left knee is high. Left hand is over that leg. And begin. Checkpoint. Before you shift, you've turned slightly, foot has gone down, but you haven't shifted. Shift and turn, reaching for the soup. Got your final posture, all the weight's in your left leg, you're oriented to the right corner. Stay in the left leg. Hands drop, waist turns. Right foot pivots, stop at the corner. Everything is all lined up. Your feet are parallel, your hands are parallel over your left thigh, across the left thigh. Sink and turn a little further to the left and back to the corner. Hands cross. Stay in the left leg. Sink. As you sink, your hands start to come apart. The palms face out. And as you complete the move, they continue to fan outward to finish the posture. Make sure your corner is your gaze, your arm, and your leg all in the same plane. And rest your legs. So this is kind of broken up, but I think if we get, like we've been working with, if you get your checkpoints, then you can work on how you turn the corner and turn it into something round. So let's do that section one more time, and then I'll turn it over to Lee, who will show you how to round the corners. Golden pheasant stands on right leg. And stopping at each of the checkpoints. Open to the left. Shift the weight and turn. Drop the hands, turn the waist, come to the corner, go past the corner and back to the corner to cross hands. And open to the final posture. Great. Okay, rest your legs. And now we start rounding the corners.
So we've been working on square form and round form. And, so often we end up when we're teaching really focusing on the square form because we want you to get all of those checkpoints. And then the question that sort of percolates in the back is, how do we turn this round? And so part of what we've been doing these last couple of weeks is looking at some moves out of the form and how do you go from square to round. And so we've seen over the years people who gravitate towards purely square or purely round, and we think it's best to work on both of them. If you only ever work square, the form can become held and forced, and you're primarily paying attention to externals. You're moving your hands and feet where they need to go. I move my hands to here, I move my hands to here, I move my hands, I move my foot. As you work on that, that can become very precise, but it's almost like Maggie talks about doing exactly the same thing over and over and over, and that's like carving your form in stone. And what it does is after you've spent so long doing exactly the same things, you've got an engraving in stone that's really hard to break up and bring life to. And so you got to have the square, but when you have the square, don't carve it in stone. Let it be the flow of the water in a stream. Let it be what's actually happening, which is to round the form. The other thing that happens is people are totally devoted to round form, which, makes sense. Tai Chi is flow. It's, the constant interchange of empty and full, of yin and yang. It's the life force moving through you, connecting heaven and earth with your dantian in the middle. It's super groovy. And so it's really easy to want to do that. And when you do round without the boundaries of the square, it can turn into a messy slop. So Beth was talking about actually going into this first unnamed posture. The fingers are here right above the elbow. As you come across, the other hand comes in to the reaching for the soup place where you could pull your sleeve back. And so the palm goes over the left forearm, the left hand comes under the right forearm. That's very precise. And if you never spend the time working on those specific details, this can become kind of a mushy thing. right? And so look, as I'm doing that, I could probably figure out how to do this in a flowing, elegant way that would look nice. But look at the motion of my right hand when I'm doing this. The right hand is rising here versus coming across. So you really need both of these. You need the square to give you the precision, and you need the round to bring life into it. And bringing life into it is always about the changes you're making inside. So we want to spend the rest of today working on those changes that we're making inside, assuming that you're going to get all of the square checkpoints just exactly right. So we know where we're going. We know where the corners of the square are. Now the question is, how do we get there? Why do my hands move that way? What change am I making on the inside that actually reflects that? And so a lot of this discussion here is going to be about an expansion and a release and a contraction back in. Right? That's the basic motion in the form, opening and closing, breathing in and breathing out. And so that's happening all the way through the form. And you never go from expansive to expansiver or just staying expansive. And you never go from collected, compressed, gathered to collected-er, compressed-er, gathered-er, or just carry or collected, compressed around. It always has that breathing in and out, the opening and closing in the form. So we'll want to look at that. So let's start right here from the beginning of this little section. We're just doing golden pheasant stance on the right leg. And so come into this and feel that the completion of this move is an expansion. And do that again. Just step with the right foot, sit down in the right foot, and then feel an expansion coming into the completion of the move. So the knee is coming up, the fingers are coming up, the awareness in the body is expanding. Step into the right foot, expand into the final posture. Now, a lot of times people want to have the hand and the foot come up because the body is sinking. So they're like thinking about it being like in a bathtub. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to just go down, 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 and have the hand and the foot come up. There is that contraction, but the end of it, all the parts of the body need to move together. And if you try this and think about, would you be able to deliver force through your knee and through your fingertips? It'll feel really different if the completion of the move is an opening and an expansion, or if the completion of the move is a closing and a contraction. So let's do it both ways. We'll, the way we like to do it, the way I'm trying to steer you away from the way we like to do it. So step, as you shift, this is the contraction. Feel the ground, and now feel from the ground up through the knee and the fingertips. And do that again. Step. As you shift, there's the contraction. Feel the ground and feel from the ground up through the body to the knee and the fingertips. Once more, and think about actually delivering some force with your hand and your knee. So, down, expanding through the body. Now, I'm not saying pogo, go up and down like a jack-in-the-box, but you want to feel that moving through the body. Now let's do it where you just sink, and try to displace the hand and the foot through some kind of buoyancy. So step, and now just go down, 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 and have the knee and the hand come up. Again, step, down, 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 down. Once more, and think about what it would be like to actually deliver some energy through the hand and the knee doing that. Down, 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 down. Okay, and then the first way again, and think about what actually happens if you connected with somebody with your hand and your knee. So, sinking, expansive, moving through the body. Connect. Once more. Sink, expansive, moving through the body. So those two should feel pretty different, and I think if you're honest, you'll know that with one of them you could actually move somebody, and with the other you probably couldn't. So the end of almost all the moves is expansive. There's obviously some exceptions. Squatting single whip, the end of the move is small. There's some others like that. But in general, the moves contract and expand, and the final posture is expansive. So that from the final posture, then you can release and go into the next move. The handful of moves where the final posture is all the way down in the gathered, contracted place, it's an interesting problem to figure out how do you get into the next one from there. But in general, the moves are expansive at the end. So the reason I did all this is so that we start out in the right place for doing the next bit. So golden pheasant stands on the right leg, expanding. And now the very first thing that happens is you're going to gather and contract. And that's what brings the hand and the foot down. And so pay attention to moving the left foot and the rotation in the right hand. So do it again. Sink and feel how this sinking drops the left foot and rotates the right hand. See how my right hand has rotated. It didn't just stay there. I didn't just move my foot. As I did that, my waist rotates. It's like I'm auguring into the ground, and that moves my right hand and my left hand and my left foot. And it also brings the right hand to life. So, from the final posture, sink, feel the right fingers wake up. Everything goes together, and your auguring in completes right with you facing the corner, right fingers by the elbow, ball of left foot is touched down. Shake your leg out because I need to shake mine out. And then we'll do that bit again. So feel the ground, expand into the final posture, sink into the ground, auguring, everything goes down together. Now this is a contracted place. So as you shift and turn, feel that expanding. So do that again. From gather, golden pheasant, gathering, as you shift, coming out. Great. So now, a lot of times people do that the other way too. What's happened is they just put the foot down, and then as they shift, they're actually falling into the back foot. So I'm encouraging you to, instead of falling into the back foot, feel that this point here is the gathered point where you can tap the earth through your front foot and use that rebound to send you into the unnamed posture. So, since what we're trying to do with this little series here is show you how to work from square to round. You learn the square checkpoints, and then how do you bring life into that? And this bellows action, this opening and closing, is one of the key ways to do that. I want to do this both ways too. So, from golden pheasant, gather into the ground, expand into golden pheasant, gather into the ground when you get to the first checkpoint, and now feel from your front foot through the body to the right hand as you sit back and bring the hand out. So do that again. Gather, expand, golden pheasant. Sit down, which turns you. You're auguring into the ground. Feel the ground in your right foot. Feel that come through the body into the right hand. Once more. Gather, expand, golden pheasant. Gather turns you. Checkpoint number 1. Shift and turn. Okay, and now let's just move the foot and let's slop. So, from golden pheasant, just stick your left foot down, and now, I don't care what you do with the hands, fall into the rear foot and have the hand go out. And do that again, golden pheasant, hand drops, foot drops, you move your hands, fall into the rear foot and have the hand go out. Now the nice thing about this is it's easy to separate there. But you probably feel like that's a lot less effective. Like there's a lot less energy that could be moving through your body. So let's do it the first way again. Step with the right foot, feel the ground, feel that fill, golden pheasant, auger into the ground, feel the ground through your right foot, and now let that be what makes you shift and turn and moves you into the actual final unnamed posture. So part of what I'm hoping is that as you do this, you'll see how much nicer, how much more full of life it is to do the round. And then you'll notice in your form those places that are stagnant, that are not full of life, and you'll breathe the life into them. So now there's another bit, which is the part of the hand that you're going to pay attention to. Right, so every move has 10,000 applications. The canonical application for this one is that Beth has thrown a punch at me and I catch her and turn her and take her past me. Right, so this is the classic catch, drop. She does it, she's doing the move. I come in here, she catches me, hand on wrist, hand on elbow. She turns, which locks my arm, and now I'm hers to do whatever she wants with as she moves me there. So that's the classic application that we've probably shown you. Every move has 10,000 applications. 10,000 just means a lot there. If you only find 9,998, it's not like you're missing 2. And if you come up with 10,005, it's not like you made 5 extra up. But there's a bunch of applications. And so another one here is this first bit as you come down here, and this can be a strike out with the right hand. And so you're going to be paying attention to the outer blade of the hand, the pinky side of the hand as you do that. So when I do that, I feel the ground. It comes back up. I aim it to knee and tips of fingers. I'm gathering down into the ground. Now the ground from my right foot comes up through the body out into my right hand as I'm coming into the final move. So you're aware here on the outer blade of the right hand. So let's do that. Step, feel the ground. Fill into golden pheasant, fingers and knee. Auger into the ground, and now from the bottom of the right foot out into the blade side of the right hand, aware of the pinky side. Again, step with the right foot, fill, golden pheasant, auger, shift and turn, bottom of the right foot to the outer edge of the right hand. Once more. Gather, golden pheasant, auger in, gathering, outer edge of the right hand. Now it's worth saying again, don't be a jack-in-the-box. Don't be on a pogo stick. This isn't like this. You could do that. It's kind of silly. But the thing we want is we want the energy, the power to move through us. We don't want to throw the meat around. We don't want to have the energy that we're tapping from the ground impact us more than moving us to the positions we want to be in. We want to be like a conduit, like a hose that water can flow through. So you want it to come through you. When you spend your time pogoing or being the jack-in-the-box, then you're using that energy on yourself and it won't flow through you into the world. So go ahead and feel the opening and closing, the gathering and the expansion, the headed towards the ground, tapping the ground and letting the ground come back up through you. Go ahead and feel that. When you first start working it, it may give you a little bit of a pogo, and then leave the pogo stick behind and continue to have the energy flow through you those ways. And one of the things we're seeking is to not be stagnant. Stagnant water doesn't flow. So if even if you pick a container up and move it around, the water in that container isn't flowing. And so if you spend it all on moving the container around, you don't have the flow. So you want it to go through you. Heaven, earth, you want to feel the energy coming in and out of you. And same thing with the hands. So let's do this again. Step, feel the ground. Let the ground energy move back up through you into the final posture. Feel down towards the ground as you turn. Shift and turn, feel the outer side of the right hand. Now drop the hands and turn and go to that next checkpoint. And so we know what's happening there, right? We reached an expansive place, and now we're going to gather again. So, from here, and that's the other problem with doing this and just slopping back, is I'm already down. So now what do? I either just go along the surface, or I try to go gathered-er, and we know you shouldn't do that, or I try to expand, and it just leads me to all confusion. So make sure that this is a full expansive place, and then you drop coming into this place. So right as you hit that checkpoint, hands ball of air, one on either side of your thigh, foot has turned in, toes in a line, feet parallel, shoulder wide. Right as you hit that checkpoint, you also feel the ground so that now it can fill into the next checkpoint. So let's do that whole piece again. Step, feel the ground, contracted, expand, turning and dropping, that moves the hands and the foot, from the front foot to the right hand, and now drop to this point. Right as you hit this point, everything's come in, you feel the ground. Again, step, feel the ground, rebound through the body, auger in, which pulls the arms into position, right foot to right hand, drop. Once more. Step, feel the bottom of the right foot. Let the rebound fill the move. Sinking and turning moves the arms and foot. Front foot to right hand, drop. And so as you do this, focal point in the hand will change. So one of the ways that every move has 10,000 applications is what you're thinking about doing here and where you would focus. This is kind of a classic pull down or pluck, an awful lot like what we do after single whip and lift hands. Then you drop the hands and bring the foot back, right? This is an awful lot the same as this. I'm turning the foot rather than bringing it back, but it's an awful lot the same thing happening with the hands. And so you can focus different places, and it'll lead to a slightly different application. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the difference between focusing on the fingers and focusing in the palm here now. I'd like you to mostly focus in the palm. So what we're going to do is, when we've reached the final posture, our awareness is here on the outside of the palm, and then as you drop, I want you to feel the hands moving, sort of dragging through the air, and you're going to feel the inside of the palm as you do that. Now, when you do that, be careful of the tendency to exaggerate and pull your wrist back, making all these horrible things happen. Just have it, you've reached the pinky side of the hand, and now as you drop, you're feeling the inside of the right hand as it comes down there. So, little change, pinky side to inside of hand. Let's do it. Gather. Golden pheasant. Augering moves the arms and the foot. Turn right foot to right hand. Drop. Feel the palm of the right hand as you come to this checkpoint. Again. Foot goes down. You gather. Feel the ground. Tap the earth. Comes up through the body. Fingers and knee. Turn. Coils the body as you drop. Turn. Takes the hand out. Drop, feel the palm of the hand. Once more. Go. Ground, knee and fingers, towards the ground, turning, from the ground to the right hand, back to the ground, right palm. Now the next part is a place where all of us pay attention to the wrong hand. And so it's really easy to pay attention to the flashy hand, which has come here and is making this beautiful, beautiful shape here. And when I do that, that'll lead me to be double weighted because I'm on my rear foot and I'm going to pay attention to the left hand, and that'll tend to pull me out of the root. So I drop and I think left hand, and I lose it. The thing that's happening there is the right hand is coming up, Beth said this, right along your center line. The center line is turning, so the hand turns with it, but the real motion is coming up along the center line, and this is a ward-off. And in ward-off, we often want to pay attention to the forearm. So as I come across here, pinky side, palm, and now as I come back, I'm paying attention to the forearm of the right arm. And this is a ward-off. It's expansive. The whole body is filling. Remember, ward-off expands every direction. The whole body is filling. And while it's doing that, oh yeah, the other hand comes and meets it. But the action is left foot to right forearm, not left foot to left hand. The action is filling. So let's do the whole thing. Step, feel the ground, comes through you, fingers and knee, going back towards the ground, coils the body, turn, pinky side of the right hand, drop, palm, and now fill, and the two hands just come together. But you're paying attention to the right hand. From Unnamed Posture number 1, just that bit. Drop, fill. Once more, and don't even do the left hand. From Unnamed Posture number 1, drop, forget about your left hand, turn past the corner, come back to the corner, feel the right hand as ward off. Remember the waist turns all the way through there. Again, Unnamed Posture number 1, forget about the left hand. Drop, past the corner, back, right hand filling. This is a full place. Both hands. Drop, past the corner, back to the corner. The two hands meet, but the functional line is rear foot, left foot through to right arm. Now, this is another place where people get the bellows inside out. And so it's really tempting to do it like this. I drop, and someplace here is the full, and then I'm dropping back to here. And the problem with that then is, just like going into Golden Pheasant, how am I going to do the kick? Sure, you could do that, but there's no power. So when I actually do the kick from here, this is full. The very first thing I can do is release. That gets everything ready. Tap the ground, use that to make the kick happen. So just like Golden Pheasant, you do sink and tap the ground, you contract, but then the end of the move is an expansion. And if I'm down here already, I don't have that. I'm stuck. I can't get it lively. So even if you can memorize square form checkpoints that involve you dropping there, I guarantee you're going to be using force to do the kick, rather than letting the ground energy come back up into the kick. So let's do that, and we'll actually go to the kick this time. And then I think I'm probably about there on time, so we'll run through the whole thing a couple more times. And on Thursday, we will look at the other unnamed posture, which is just exactly like this one, except completely inside out. So from first unnamed posture, feeling the outside of the right hand, turn, gathering, fill, ward off in the right hand, sink, let that rotate the hands and free the right foot. At this point right here, that's where you touch the ground, and now feel an expansion out into the final posture. Do that again. Unnamed posture number 1. Sink, palm, fill, ward off. Sink, elbows drop, hands rotate, foot freeze, fill to the final posture. Okay, and one more bit with this. In these moves, a lot of times what happens is people's hands just drop as they're going into the final posture. And so you end up, watch the path of my hands. I've come to here, I do down, and now as I lift the foot, my hands are just dropping. And one of the things that can happen with that is rear hand can get really low. That said, if you're balanced right, the rear hand should be slightly above the front hand. So really watch for the rear hand drooping, and that'll tend to make you fall over. When I do it with opening and closing, gathering and expanding right, at this point I hit the ground, and now as I kick, watch my hands. The hands expand. The hands expand along the line of the forearms, not going perpendicular to the forearms, not dropping that way, going out that way. Of course you don't do it. because then you end up as the jack-in-the-box. And I end up coming down here and then boing, right? It's not that. But it's also not this, where everything just drops. When I've hit bottom here, now as I actually kick, everything expands. And the hands move because of that expansion, not because I'm moving the hands. So let's do it a couple more times, and then we'll call it whatever this is, a day. From Unnamed Posture number 1. Gathering, feel the ground right as the checkpoint. Filling, ward off in the right arm. Sink, elbows drop, hands rotate, feel the ground again. And now as you kick, that's an expansion. That goes through you, doesn't throw the body around. Again. Sinking. Filling. Sinking. Filling. Final posture is full. Once more. Unnamed posture number 1. Turn, pass to the corner, back to the corner, that's full. Sink, start turning, continue as you kick. Final posture is big and expansive. So getting that alternation of empty and full, opening and closing, gathering and filling, paying attention to the different points in the body where you'd actually be expressing energy, and importantly, making sure that every bit of motion is a result of the changes you're making inside without any arbitrary movements of the hands or feet. That's the path for finding round. I think you'll find it rewarding as you do it. So let's run through that, say, 3 more times. Whole thing from going into golden pheasant to the separate. So start in the left foot, step with the right, feel the ground, expand into the final posture, auger, make sure you get the checkpoint exactly right, front foot into pinky side of right hand, sink, right palm, past the corner, back to the corner, ward off in the right arm, sink, feel the ground, expand into the final posture. Make sure the rear hand is a little higher than the front hand. If it isn't, you didn't get it right. Again. Step, golden pheasant, running through you. Turning, augering, ground, ground to right hand. Gathering, past the corner, expanding, sink, feel the ground, fingers and foot. Once more, I won't talk. Go. Great. So Ben Lowe would pretty much never talk about this stuff. And when people would ask him, he would say, why am I showing you that? You're not even doing this. And then he'd make us hold postures longer. Maggie pretty much works exclusively on the round and sort of expects you to have the checkpoints and is a little irritated when you don't. Jane and Baton were a little bit like that too. Baton did an awful lot of posture holding. And he expected you to get the round kind of without talking about it. We're just like, well, you should just do that. And Jane would spend a lot more time on the, how do you do this? So we're trying to give you the milestones and the landmarks that will help you figure out how do you round your form. You have to learn the square. You have to be able to separate. So I don't want our focus on round taking you away from that precision. You got to do that. But then breathe life into it. And we'll do some more next time.